Hi everyone, I am Coach Keon Smith from Action Coach Guyana, and also we are the license holder of the Who's Who in Guyana Business Directory. If you haven't gotten your hands on a copy of it as yet, please do so. They're available at many of the different hotels, business places around Guyana. And if not, you can visit us online at www.whoswho.gy to get our virtual copy. Now, this morning, I'm going to be doing a follow up on one of the conversations I had last week. We were speaking to Ms. Sarojini Rajaram from GASCI, which is the Guyana Association of Securities Companies and Intermediaries, Inc. And lots of persons were messaging me to find out more about GASI and what are the investment opportunities that they may have. So, what I would have done was to organize with Miss Sarojini, who gracefully accepted to give a more in depth presentation about GASI and also persons who are on our social media platforms can send their questions if they have very specific questions for her to respond to. They can send their questions. I will ensure that is done. And I will also try to ask as much questions as possible so that we can get more clarity with regards to our stock exchange. So, without further ado, please say good morning to Ms. Sarojini Rajaram from GASI. Good morning, Sarojini. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Keon. I'm fine. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Okay, excellent. That sounded so nice. Have me back. So we should talk to my CEO about making this into an actual show indeed, because I think it's really giving persons the opportunity to be educated on business services that we have right here in Guyana, but they may not have taken the time to investigate for themselves. So over to you, Sarojini. You're going to be sharing a presentation with us today. As questions come in, I'll be sure to take note of them so that we can have this discussion after your presentation.
Thanks, Keon. So today I'm going to share with you a little bit about the overview of GASCI, what we do, how you can invest, how much you can invest, and about our marketplace. So as Keon would have mentioned, the local stock exchange is known as the Guyana Association of Securities Companies and Intermediaries, Inc. In short, GASCI. So I'm going to introduce you to the capital markets because in other words, the stock market is also known as the capital market, where you can raise capital for your business. So the role of the financial market is to bring together suppliers and demanders of capital. So in other words, business and then some persons want to invest in your business. So in other words, they're going to be a part owner, the shareholder of your business. This is a little graph about the financial markets. You have the money market and the capital market, where the capital market is broken down into the primary market and the secondary market. I'll explain that in the next slide. This chart here shows an overview of the financial sector. It may look confusing for some, but basically we just want to show you where GASCI comes under. The GSC is our regulatory body. That is the Guyana Securities Council. So GASCI falls under that. And then, of course, the reporting issuers are the companies that are listed on the stock exchange, as well as our brokers that are members of the stock exchange. The other institutions are other lending agencies. So we're not going to get into that. So I just wanted to show you where GASCI comes under. We are not, although we're self-regulated, we have to follow the guidelines of the Securities Industry Act, and also we have to adhere to rules and responsibilities of the Guyana Securities Council. Okay, I mentioned Prior to that slide, the money market. The money market is a short-term or highly liquid and relative safe securities. Liquid means that you can turn over your stocks into cash very fast. So with the capital market is longer term, less liquid and riskier securities. Capital market is long-term investments. So if you're looking to invest in stocks, it's like future investments. So the primary market is where securities are first issued and capital raised by corporations of the government. Like if you are doing an IPO, which is an initial public offering, where a company is now selling shares for the first time. They have never issued any shares to the public before, and now they're coming to offer their shares for persons to buy. So companies on the primary market will now make offerings to the public and probably at a price set by them. The secondary market now involves trading of existing securities. Like the companies listed on the exchange, they are on the secondary market. The stock exchange is structured around a set of rules that determines who can trade securities and what securities can be traded. And of course, traders on the stock exchange have to be members of the exchange. So the stock market is a place where stocks and shares and bonds are actively traded. So we provide a platform or the marketplace for shares and stocks to be traded. Like I had mentioned earlier in the last session I had with Keon, as if you're going to, if you want to buy vegetables, you would probably visit Starbucks Market or Border Market or any other marketplace in your community. So the stock exchange provides that marketplace for shares and stocks to be traded. You cannot come here directly though and buy those shares because that's a misconception that many persons have, that you can come here directly and buy shares. I will let you know how you can invest through the stock exchange. So benefits of using the stock exchange, it makes it easier to buy and sell your shares. So say you have some shares to sell or you want to buy, you may wait longer for somebody to approach you to buy or sell your shares. Whereas when you trade through the stock exchange, your shares, it's there, it's available for the brokers to see, and they can and when investors approach the brokers, they can let them know, well, this is available. So the market participants are the persons who are registered with the Guyana Securities Council. For instance, we have the brokers. The brokers are our members. So we have 4 brokers on the market, and they are regulated professionals who buys and sells shares and all securities on behalf of investors. So they trade on your behalf. They act as your agent. Like I said, you cannot come here directly and buy shares for yourself or for someone else. You have to go through a broker. So in other words, they act on your behalf. So we also have dealers. Those are persons who buy and sells financial securities, such as shares for his or her own account. So one of our broker is also a dealer. That is the Guyana Americas Merchant Bank. Trader is someone who buys and sells financial instruments, unlike a broker who acts on instruction. So the trader buys and sells for themselves because the broker will take an instruction from an investor. So the trader does not need an instruction. They go about and do their business themselves. An underwriter now is a company or entity that administers a public issuance or distribution of shares from a corporation. Underwriter works closely with a corporation to determine the offering price of securities. We also have the Guyana Americas Merchant Bank as an underwriter. And finally, we have an investment advisor. This is a person who would advise you about your securities. In other words, stocks or your investment. They will, like, for instance, the stock market, they can tell you when to buy, when to sell, or when to hold. So again, the Guyana Americas Virgin Bank, they are also a licensed investment advisor on the stock exchange. However, there's another entity that is an investment advisor, but they are not listed or registered with the stock exchange. That is Pollard's e-fields. So persons think that it's the stock exchange that sets the market price. However, that's not true. It's you, the investors, who sets the price. Because if somebody is willing to buy or sell at the price, reasonable price that is, then there you go. You have a bargain. It's like you go into the market and you see stuff selling at different prices. But it's of course it's up to you which one of the stall you will stop at and buy your vegetables or fruits or whatever. So what can be considered before you invest in a company? First of all, if the company is profitable, does the company pay a dividend? A dividend is what you will get when you invest in shares from a company. It's like you put your money in the bank and they give you an interest. So you invest in a company and in return they give you a dividend. A dividend is part of the profit that the company would have made. Of course, you have to look at the assets of the company, just in case if the company winds up, they at least they can liquidate their asset and pay you some money. Of course, you got to look at the liabilities of the company. The liabilities are what the companies would have owed persons. So if the liabilities are more than what the company owns, which are the assets, then that might be a problem. Also, the company's management and prospects. You don't want to invest in a company where the management is questionable. You should have some form of confidence in the persons or the board that is managing the company that you wish to invest in. So, how are stocks and shares valued? So, common stocks are valued mainly on the level of profits. Shares are usually valued by the dividend the company pays. Like I just mentioned, the interest you receive from the bank. It's similar, but of course, the dividends are non-taxable so far on this when you invest through the stock exchange. You do not have to share anything with GRA compared to investing in the bank. So of course, the profits earned by the company, I just mentioned this, that then you will part of that is paid through dividends. So you can reinvest in that company with your dividends, or you can save it. So now I'm going to give you an overview of GASCI. I hope what I've said so far it's clear. I'm trying to make this as simple as possible for everyone out there. Okay, so GASCI operates a market in securities. Securities are the stocks in which matches buyers and sellers generates confirmed trades which the brokers are legally committed to honor. In other words, when someone approaches a broker, the broker will, of course, take that. Say it's a buy order. That is if a person wants to buy for the first time. So they're gonna let them know what is available, the price that is being traded currently, and they will take that order. If they don't have somebody who's selling at that price, because of course the broker will sell and buy on your behalf, they bring it to the stock exchange, and then another broker can match that buy order at the price the person is willing to buy at. I hope that is not confusing. So, for example, I want to buy 1,000 bank CIH at $78. So I approach one of the brokers through the stock exchange. And I said, you know what, I want to buy at $78. So my broker will now check to see if somebody is selling at that price. And of course, if there's none, they bring it to the stock exchange. And the other three brokers can see if they can match that order at $78, if they have somebody who's selling at $78. So the trading is supported by a limit order book. The limit order book shows the buying and the buy orders and the sell orders of each of the companies that are traded on the exchange. So the settlement of the trade is between the brokers. Of course, the broker, the buy and the sell order has to be settled between the brokers, each of the brokers. So, like I mentioned just now, how we can buy or sell the shares. Investor wishing to buy or sell shares places an order with a broker. So to buy, the investor deposits funds with the broker to cover the proposed purchase. Or the broker will not buy on their own behalf for you. You have to deposit your funds in order for them to buy. Because there's a chance that, okay, you can call next day and say, you know what, I don't want these stocks anymore. So what happens? Then the broker will have to take that risk. So therefore, the broker, you have to deposit your funds with the broker in order to buy shares. And to sell, the investor has to pledge their share certificate with the broker. And of course, they have to sign a transfer form. That gives the broker the go ahead to sell these shares. So who can use the market? Only the brokers and dealers who are both registered with the Guyana Securities Council and who are members of GASCI are permitted to trade directly on the market. So you cannot go to a random broker and say you want to buy shares. You have to go through the registered brokers with GASCI and the Securities Council. So, how can you buy or sell securities on the exchange? You have to go through our registered brokers, and these are the four brokers we have presently. We have the Bihari Stockbrokers Limited, they're in Charlotte Street. We have Hand in Hand Trust Corporation Inc., they're in Middle Street. We have the Guyana Americas Merchant Bank Inc., they're at GBTI in Kingston. And we have Trust Company Guyana Limited at Lamaha Street, Queenstown. So you must use one of them. What I would normally advise persons to do whichever broker you choose, you can call them and let them know what is it that you want to do. And they will give you a list of documents that you will need to satisfy the Anti-Money Laundering Act. The basic ones are proof of ID, proof of address, and proof of income. Some of the broker may require a recent bank statement or a THIN, but it all depends which one you're going to use. Who can invest? Individuals must be 18 years and older to invest. However, if you want to buy on behalf of your children, you can buy, you're going to buy it for that child or children, but it's going to be in your name for that child. So say it's John Public and you're buying for Jane Doe, so it'll be John Public for Jane Doe until that child reaches the legal age. They can transfer it wholly and solely to that child. So how much can be invested? So you don't need $1 million or a large sum of money to start investment. You can start small and you can grow your shares. What we suggest to persons, I mean, you don't have to take it up. It's not a must. We suggest that you can take your dividends and reinvest in shares. So the more shares you own, the more dividend you collect, right? So if you own 1,000 shares, then say Starling Products, they paid you $5 per share, and you own 1,000 Starling Products. So you take the $5 and you multiply it by 1,000 shares, and that will be the dividend you'll receive. So what are the data provided by GASCI? So at the end of each trading session, this is one of the reports that our trading software will normally generate. You can find this on our website at gasci.com. I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough. So you see DIH means banks DIH. So the best bid is the highest price somebody is willing to buy at, which is $75. The volume bid in thousands, so it's the total amount of buying orders there is. the best offer is the lowest amount that person is willing to sell at. And of course, the volume offered is the total number of sell orders you have. So the opening price would have been the closing price for the last session, which would have closed at $79. And the highest price and the last trade price is what the session would have closed at. So we opened at $79 and we closed at $78. So you could say that banks went down by a dollar. And the volume traded and how much would have been traded on that day, which is 18,500. The other companies are the companies would have that is listed on the stock exchange, and of course the way you see the dates, those would have been the days that they were last traded. Where there is no dates, that is where the companies would have traded on that day. Of course, GASCI trade on Mondays at 10 o'clock every week. And if Monday is a holiday, we trade on Wednesday of that week. It's only one time per week because of the number of orders we receive and also because of our population. It's like really small. The financials again shows the last trade price. I'm going to take you through banks again. Like you see, within the last 12 months, banks would have paid $1.16. So again, you can view this on our website. If you have further questions, you can shoot us an email or you can call us. This is the market capitalization, is how the exchange would have grown since 2003 to March 20th, because the stock exchange has been closed since April 6th to present. We had no trading sessions since the end of March. So GASCI started with 18 billion and we closed in 2003, and presently we are at 351 billion. My. That's a growth. The market capitalization is calculated by using the number of shares the company would have issued to the public times the closing price at the end of the month. So say banks issued 1,000 shares to the public. I'm just using small figures here to keep it simple. And say they closed at $78. So you take the $78 and you times it by the amount of shares that they would have issued, which is 1,000. So they will close at their market cap will now be $78,000. And this is a chart that shows you, it gives you a visual of how the market cap would have grown from 2003 to March 2020. So what are the benefits of going public? So when I say go public, this is when you take your company and you put it on the stock exchange for more persons to invest in your company. So you're growing the number of shareholders that you have currently, and you're now inviting the public to get involved in your company. So it provides a cooperation with an avenue for raising financing for expansion, repaying debt, working capital, and research. So in other words, instead of going to the bank to borrow money, you raise capital through the stock exchange by going public. It provides liquidity for shareholders who may now be able to find markets for their shares. So it's easier, like I said, you want to buy or sell shares, you don't have to wait until somebody approaches you. When you put your company out there, persons know, well, this is available for me to buy or sell. The company also becomes known to the wider public. Of course, when you choose to list on the exchange, you have to satisfy some requirements, because we don't want to have companies listed on exchange that are questionable. So, of course, we have to protect our investors. So, when you list on the exchange, you are now known to the wider public, and of course, they can have some amount of confidence. It provides a debt equity ratio and improves the prospect of raising financing. So the debt equity ratio is where the your financials reveal how much debt you have in terms of your equity. Equity is a capital owned by the company. So if your debt is higher than your capital, I mean that's not good really. But if your debt is lower than your equity, well, that is a plus for you. So benefits of listing. Listed companies benefit by the ease of raising equity against that of an unlisted issuer. So, like I said, it's easier for you to raise capital through the stock exchange when you're listed as a company than when you're unlisted because nobody knows about you. And then, of course, when we do our background checks and all of that, you know that this person is unquestionable or this company is unquestionable. Listed companies are more attractive to overseas and institutional investors. Again, it comes back to how uh, what your financial documents or your statements reveal about you. A listed company attracts more publicity than that of an unlisted company, and the investors will have more confidence in listed issuers. The benefits continue. Listed companies can use their position to enhance their image for both internal and external markets. So that speaks for himself. Listed companies tend to enjoy higher prices than unlisted companies. Of course, like I said, the investors will fix the market price because when the company decides to list on the exchange and they set a price, of course, the persons are willing to buy at a higher or they buy and then they sell back higher. The share price goes up. Only listed companies can be cross-listed on regional exchanges. So, 2 years ago, 2 years, this is 2020, 2019, we had we were fortunate to sign a memorandum of cooperation with the Barbados Stock Exchange. So companies that are listed on the Guyana Stock Exchange can now list on the Barbados Stock Exchange. By listing, it shows that the company has satisfied the requirements of GASCI rules. Well, I mentioned that earlier that you before you list, you have to satisfy certain requirements and to give the investor some amount of confidence that this is a good company to invest in. Of course, listed companies will be featured on GASCI website. So, what are the benefits to investors in trading through the stock exchange? Dividends are free of income tax. Nothing, you don't have to share anything with GRA. That's a plus. Profits from price appreciation free of capital gain tax. Of course, again, there's no tax. You have a pride of ownership of a piece of Guyanese industry and some protection from inflation. So why should I invest? So as I mentioned, when you do, the capital market is a long-term investment. So we all know we will reach that age of retirement, and of course, when we retire, our income changes and our lifestyle, of course, will have to change. But you invest now, and by the time you reach the age of retirement, at least you know there's an additional income coming in. So you don't have to change anything. Or if you do, maybe it will not be, it will be marginally. That's a small change, not a huge or a big difference, right? And you plan for your future. So most of us, when we reach retirement age, of course, what kind of work you will have to do or you'll get. The security work, and that is very risky. And of course, your health is at risk as well. You're not as strong as before. So just to show you why you should invest. So this is some research we would have done, and the Merrill Lynch research shows that persons they did not do future investments, and we find that it's not being taught in the schools. So people do not know that they work. Okay, we go to school, and then you were like, I mean, we were all young, and I mean for the young people out there as well. That you go to school and you say, I can't wait to get a job, and when you do get a job, I'll buy X, Y, and Z, and you probably may put a little in the bank, and then you spend and you don't invest. So when that time comes, when you reach old age or whatever, there's no investment. You did not invest your money elsewhere. You just went through the norms of life. So this research showed that how person did not have financial literacy to invest, and it's not being taught in the schools here. I'm not sure if it's included in the Caribbean in their curriculum, but I know if it's touched here, it's probably uh, not emphasized on. So I'm just letting you know that you can think about your investment, think about starting early, and it's about your future. It's long term, your future, your children's future, because there come a time when you want what's best for them, especially with their education, and you want to send them to college, or you want to send them to university. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
This is what this stats would have shown. How many persons are financial literate, and you could see how the numbers went. It did not change drastically, if small percentages. And that brings us to the end of this presentation. I hope it was clear. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. You can always visit us at GASCI, www.gasci.com, or you can call us at 223-6175 or 223-6176. We are closed temporarily, but when we do reopen, it will be advertised on our website. So you can always visit us and feel free to call us if you have any questions. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Mrs. Rajaram, for that presentation. Um, Great information being presented, getting some good feedback and comments on our social media platforms uh, as well. So I have at least one question that wasn't addressed as yet that I would like you to take a look at. But first, I just have one question that I like to ask in terms of the brokers. You mentioned there are four brokers, but is there a criteria for how do you become a broker, or this is selected by GASI?
No, to become a broker, you have to be registered with the Guyana Securities Council,
Yeah.
and of course there are some requirements from the board of GASCI.
Okay.
I can probably send if the persons are interested, they could send us an email and we can go through further with the process.
Excellent. Excellent. So I have a question online from Mr. Jason Shepard. So I'm pulling his questions up. His question is up here. So he's saying, through GASI or a registered broker, besides the local companies, can I also buy shares or trade on the international market or engage in CFD on commodities?
No, the only companies that can invest in are those companies that are listed on the stock exchange. However, if you want to trade overseas, you can perhaps do that online, or you could approach the Ghana Americas Merchant Bank, and they may be uh, available to help you.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I have another question I'd like to definitely ask. You were mentioning some of the companies that were listed on the stock exchange. I am not sure if you have all of these companies at hand right now, but can you give us an idea of some of the companies who are listed on our local stock exchange?
Okay, we have Bank ZIH Limited, we have Caribbean Containers Inc., we have Demerara Bank Limited, we have Demerara Tobacco Company Limited, we have GBTI, we have Republic Bank, we have Sterling Products, we have Citizen Bank Inc., we have Guyana Stock Feeds Inc. I think I captured most of them. Yes, we have 15 companies that are listed. Two of them have never been traded. However, the other 13 were. I'm not sure if I mentioned all 13, but yes. Oh, Damaro Distillers Limited.
All right. So definitely some very, very good information with regards to the companies that are listed on the stock exchange. So persons who are interested in learning more about this, it is very, very important that you start looking at these companies if you're looking to invest. So thanks, Jason. We're glad we were able to address your question. Uh, Secondly, Suraj, and I don't think we'll be able to answer this one. Can is it only can overseas companies be listed on our local stock exchange?
No. Yes, but they'll have to go through the process of registering with the Guyana Securities Council.
Yeah,
Because, like I said, that they'll have to do a background check.
yeah,
They'll have to submit some financials,
yeah,
so persons can know how the companies have been doing or performing financially.
yeah.
So yes, they can list on the stock exchange, but they have to register first with the council, and of course, they have to file an application with the this local stock exchange.
Okay, excellent. I have another question coming online, and this question is from Samuel Glasgow, and he is asking, would it still be a smart idea to buy stocks or shares in companies during this pandemic period?
Um, if I say yes or no, that will be detrimental to both me and you. But um, I can't advise you to do that. However, what you can do is you can look at how the market is going, if prices are falling, how the companies are performing, and given the fact that some persons may want to get rid of their shares or sell their shares because they're desperately in need of money, so they may sell at a lower price than what it's actually worth. So I would think you may want to use your buy your shares at your own discretion. I can't say yes and I can't say no. I'm sorry,
I think
but
that was a really
but you
important
can look
point.
at the performance of the market and the companies that are traded, how their prices, how their shares are going, the share prices if they're falling or they're rising.
Okay, good. So I have another follow-up question from Samuel before I take Troy Edmondson's questions. Samuel, he is then asking how detrimental would this pandemic be to the price of stocks and shares in companies? Just your thoughts.
Well, like I said, we don't know what how the economy will be, and of course, if the economy starts to fall, we have negative growth. It's going to affect not just the company but all of us. So
Oh,
instead of buying stocks, you may want to think about, is that a need or a want?
yeah.
You may think twice of where you're putting your money.
Okay, excellent. So I'll take Troy, the other two questions from Troy. He said, what are the requirements for taking your company public? And is there like a special starting point? More focus on small businesses going public.
Okay, Troy, that is another huge topic. about listing and getting your company, taking your company public for the first time. Of course, again, you have to go through the Guyana Securities Council, and you must fulfill a prospect. A prospect will have the requirements that you will need in order to do your initial public offering, where you're putting shares out for the first time for the public to buy. Of course, once you satisfy those requirements and you submitted all your documents, you will then approach the stock exchange and file an application to become a listed company on the exchange. If you are interested and to have further information, you can shoot me an email and I can send you the listed requirements so you could have a more better idea of what is it that you need to get to be listed on the exchange.
Excellent, excellent. And Troy had a follow up comment question. It said, seeing that you mentioned there are currently 15 companies registered, which are more larger companies, so he was just wondering if GASI is more focused on large companies.
No, not exactly. We welcome if we have new companies listed. We will be so happy. However, these companies that are listed on the stock exchange were grandfathered on the stock exchange when we started in 2003. These were already public companies, but when the exchange started, they came on automatically because of the amount of shareholders, and of course, once you're registered with the Guyana Securities Council, you automatically come on to the Guyana Stock Exchange. So we did not actually took their application and file it and say, now you're going to be a registered issuer on the exchange. They came on automatically.
Okay. Thank you very much for that response. So, Troy, I trust that that information was helpful, and to know that Agassi is not they're not only focused on large companies, but once your company can meet the requirements of the Security Council. And finally, we just had another comment from Jason. He's saying, looking forward to another session on the stock exchange in Guyana. As Guyanese, especially young Guyanese, it is important to understand such things. Knowledge is definitely power. And I want to add to Jason's comment, it is the application of the knowledge that leads to the power. So we want to make sure that we can apply what we know. Hence, why Sarojini took the time out as well to make this presentation, because we strongly believe that many persons out there, they may hear about it, but they don't know about it. So we really wanted to bring this information so persons can begin to take action to secure their future and their future investments. Um, Troy is saying thank you for the response, Sarojini. He said yes, it satisfies the questions, and keep up the good works and stay safe. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. I'm not seeing any other questions coming in. My CEO in the background was saying pertaining to the movement of the stock prices that it of course will depend on the performance of the company, especially during this pandemic, where some companies will thrive because of the sector, the industry that they're in, while others may be hit by this pandemic, given just how the collateral damage of COVID-19. So, on that note, since we have no other questions coming in and we are just within our time frame, I want to say a special thank you, uh, Sarojini, to you and Gasky for providing this presentation and, of course, educating many persons who are on our social media platforms, educating myself on the Guyana Stock Exchange and how we can take advantage. What I absolutely love, and I would like to just remind the public about, would be the benefits to investors, which would be dividends free. So your dividends are free from income tax, so you don't have to worry about that. The profits from the price appreciation, they are free from capital gains tax, which means when the price of the share goes up, you have the pride. I love this one. The pride of ownership of a piece of a guy of Guyanese industry. And of course, you have some protection from inflation with regards to your investment. So thank you very much, Sarojini. I'm seeing Troy is asking for one more question. So I'm
Sure.
going to see if I can sneak him in for that final question. Um, thank you very much, Samuel. We're looking forward to doing more of these sessions. Troy is asking, I noticed in your chat there, I noticed in your chart there is serious growth. How would you say is the response of investors in the stock market locally over the past 5 years?
Okay, Troy. We found that within the past 5 years, the stock prices have gone up tremendously. Say, for instance, I'm at the stock exchange for 5 years now. And banks, when I started here, banks was trading at $90. And banks is now at $78. So that gives you an idea of how the market has been growing. And also, since we've discovered oil, more persons want to put their money somewhere, where they can invest and see it grow. Because they think, we have this mindset that, especially the bank, persons are going to bank their money, of course, and the bank will, of course, give you a good turnover. So, yes, the market has improved and has grown over the past 5 years, and some of the share prices would speak for themselves.
Okay, excellent. I don't know if you've been in position to share this, but you've just triggered something in my mind. Have any of the oil companies approached GASCI to be registered on the stock exchange? And if yes or no, when, if this will be possible?
That's $1 million question, Kian. No, none of the oil companies have approached us or they're listed on the exchange because I know most of them are listed overseas, especially on the New York Stock Exchange.
Yes.
So I'm not sure how likely that will be, but that is a question we pose with like ever so often.
All right. So excellent. I am definitely looking forward to that as well. I'm sure I just probably asked a question that is probably on the mind or was on the mind of many persons out there. And I'm sure they'll find a way where maybe the local arm of those companies can be on the stock exchange. If not, maybe something that GASCI can begin to investigate. That you have the parent company overseas, but then they have established a local branch or entity or subsidiary. If that can go on the stock exchange, uh, we can explore to see what are the possibilities.
Sure, no problem.
Okay. So thank you very much, Mr. Rajini Rajaram, for taking time out. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for all the questions and comments coming in on our social media platforms. You guys were really, really awesome. And of course, the questions were very, very apt to what we were discussing. And I trust that the responses given, they were to your satisfaction. And again, Sarojini is saying if you want more information, how can they get more information? Just finally.
So you can visit our website at www.gasky.com, or you can call us at 223-6175 or 223-6176. Or you can send us emails at gasky@networksgy.com or info@gasky.com.
Okay. Thank you very much. Guys, remember to stay safe and thank you, Sarojini.
Thank you, Kian, for having me again. Stay safe.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.